Okay, I think I have finally done it. I think I have
3 tries.
third one's the charm. Uh, reload this. So share this. So I don't have to upload it again later. Okay. All right. I guess we can get started. What's up, everybody? We went to Bouchard Springfresh, Georgia. Myself, Carmen, Nico, and Dean was our team.
Who says that?
What?
Who says myself?
What?
Carmen. You said myself, Carmen. I don't know. That's a weird way to say it.
I just introduced myself, dude. I tripped over my words. What do you want from me?
Okay.
Okay.
Drink less, buddy. Come on.
But we did pretty well. We're gonna go over experience. It was quite a drive down for all of us. Dean was in like a tornado shelter the night before.
My basement.
Yeah, your basement. Then when what? Like that was like 8 hours down.
9.5 actually.
9.5.
Out counting stops, so like over 10.
Yeah, I think with stopping, it took Nico and I like 11 hours to get down there from Pittsburgh.
I don't remember anything aside from like the endless amount of country music we had to listen to.
Yeah, I was trying to get Nico to prepare for the South by listening to the country music.
Some bluegrass.
Well, we were trying to find the honky tonk. We couldn't find the honky tonk, nor could we find the badonkadonk. But like the country music said we would find, but with Trey could not lead us to either. But we did go to a locals when we got there. The locals was pretty cool. Met some cool people, and then saw them again the next day. So I guess we can say what we played. Dean, you were seat A. I'll put your list up on screen. I'm gonna talk about what you played.
I played, Watame, Kanata, Marin. The idea is that Kanata has some pretty bad matchups into the top decks due to like things like Card Titan and a lot of early play hate. So maybe by including a level 1 combo and like getting off of the like large amount of clock self pluses, I could have a more stable early game into just using Kanata to like still stomp the bad decks and still have that like little like that efficient heal package into like hand sculpt. So yeah, that's kind of like why the list looks like it does, and it wasn't too bad, but definitely would change a few things at this point.
I was in seat B. I played 7 Deadly Sins, the usual 6 Stock Soul, 2 Choice. I played 4 Elizabeth Choice. After doing a significant amount of testing, I thought it was a lot more stable. A couple other inclusions in the Pursuit of Stability were the Pop Check X Elizabeth Early play, a card that Andy reminded me existed after BSF Toronto, that did a lot of work. And then just switching to the Elizabeth combo, not leading into the 2-1 Meliodas as much, as well as not overtly thinking that my 6/5s would like randomly win board or 7k with a global 5, like not even thinking that was a thing anymore because it's really not true in a lot of the matchups anyway. But just playing towards that, the deck was rock solid, really consistent. No real changes I think I would make, barring any sort of like ban list or anything like that based on what I played. Nico?
Yeah, so Carmen once again handed me 8 standby quints. Fairly normal list. I think the only other, it's just like most of the lists are exactly the same outside of like certain tech options. So we tech the 1/1 2K punch, and I think that's really the only real like,
Adachi.
super spicy tech. Yeah, well, I think I saw that almost everywhere because I played 2 mirrors. Both lists play that, so I don't think that's really spicy.
Okay.
I think honestly
Yeah.
the 1/1 counter is the only real spice, but yeah, it's just pretty standard 8 standby points.
Yep. So I guess we can just get right into our rounds then. Go over our experience. Dean, you remember your round one?
I do. Thankfully, I have the the really strong memory, even with no notes. So round one, I fight against Bang Dream. It's Yukina level one, the Moguro, into the Yukina level three, burn two. And turn one, I open the Aqua, the La Plus in the middle, and he goes he goes Kokoro Drop Searcher in the middle and double of the Yukina that resonates to go to 3-5 and game bottom deck, and he resonates them. But they're in the side lanes and the Kokoro's in the middle just to push damage. Um, and I think, holy, my Laplace lived. I get to just like clean cut like a random like a brainstormer or something, clear his board, easy peasy. And then he proceeds to then like slam down double of the Lisa bottom decker, and my Laplace explodes. And then suddenly, like even though he has no hand, I don't have a hand. And there was a point like I ended up like double early playing Kanata at 2. He had refreshed 4 in 30, and he triple cancels. uh, so I was like worried for like half a second, but the deck was still thick and the deck had a lot of damage in it. So I ended up hitting him up and then tap countering a Yukina, and then the game was pretty much over. But yeah, like there were some moments in the early game that I was a little shook because I never drew the choice for the level 1 combo, and the Laplace getting bottom decked randomly really hurt. So there's a lot of removal in his deck, but thankfully,
Hey, so just for your info, Dean, if you're talking about the level 0, you're talking about like the hand filter resonate bottom decker,
thankfully,
Yukina, right? Yeah, that only gets to 3K, so he couldn't answer your level plus
Oh,
anyway.
I didn't actually look at the power on the card. I just remembered that I have it, and I forgot what its actual power got to.
Yeah, it just gets to 3K, so yeah, he
Okay,
still couldn't answer your level plus there.
insane. Well, I guess Laplace is the best card, and Carmen was correct.
Is the best card.
But
Love Plus.
The Lisa did answer when he slammed down 2 of those at level 1.
Oh, even more bottom deckers.
Yeah, no, his
All
deck
those.
was like 8 plus bottom deckers. It was like insane.
Well, I played against TRV, middle lane. I played against Hillary. She plays like literally every like crazy card in TRV in that one deck. So I had to like stay on my toes. I saw the money counter, one of like the real only things that can like kind of blow out Escanor, and it's second in lane. After you do a single bounce, you got to deal with the second one. The way the game went, she was eating like quite a bit of damage because I'm throwing out a lot of damage. Deadly Sins, that's sort of what the deck does. She goes for like double Icy Tail. She hits really well, and the Icy Tail sends me up to like 3. I believe it's 3 after everything, because then I clocked 3-4 and I healed down to 3-2 with double Escanor. The way that she played her turn, where she like saved and like made sure that she sided to make sure she like preserved her board. I knew that she had the counter. There wasn't much I could do with it because I looked at the top of my deck with the Gil Thunder Bouncer, saw a stock Soul Trigger and no Soul Trigger, and I didn't really have any way to the win that turn other than just kind of forcing her to have it and attacking and making sure that I can probably cancel the Reflect because I'm pretty compressed, or at least live the Reflect, healing down to 3-2, making sure I'm not at 3-3 because it's a Reflect for 4 would kill me. Money counter. So I heal down, go to attacks, swing in for 6, and then she does have the money counter, reflects it. I do cancel because I'm compressed, and then swing in with the Kill Thunder for a 3. That doesn't get there. She does cancel that. She goes to the next turn, but she doesn't have any stock, so she has to just swing 1-1-1, which probably could have killed me considering it's TRV. There's a lot of triggers, but I was able to cancel at least one attack and then swing back for game. So really scary one right at the start. Not a lot of people were able to do much about Kill Thunder. That money counter is one of the only things can actually stop. So pretty spooky start to the day, but I was able to get there. Nico?
Yeah, so my game was against 8 Standby Hololive. This was kind of rough for the gentleman who was playing it. He he made a couple of mistakes. I'm playing Quince, so I have one of the 1/1s out. He manages to get we talked about this last time, but I forget the 2/2 nurse lady. He manages to
Choco?
get the 2/2 nurse. Yeah, that one, Choco. He manages to get that one out before I even hit level 1. But I have the 1/1 can't be reversed on the board. But he makes a decision to attack with that lane last. So what ends up happening is his 2/2 AK swings into my 6/5, but I also had the 1/1 counter in hand. So his AK swings into my now 8/5, and he couldn't really muster up a board after that. I ended up killing him right before my refresh. Like my final swing would have refreshed my deck the first time. It was not very pretty. I don't think he actually canceled twice, so he was just kind of blown out there.
All right, so that was a sweep round 1. Already doing better than in Toronto. So we're feeling
Insane.
good.
Prepared to lose the rest.
So we go into round 2. Dean, how's your round 2?
Round 2, I sit across from 7 Deadly Sins, and I learned in Toronto, you don't care if you lose to this matchup, which thank God I didn't care, because I think it was like turn 2. No, I go first. I put down the Laplace. He puts down the Escanor plus something else. Hits me to 0-4. I clock to 0-5. And because the Escanor that stock bombs, stock kicks for number of copies engraved. So it stock kicks my Laplace. I go to 0-5. I clock. I attack a couple times. He goes to 1-0. And then swings 5-4-4, and I eat it all. And suddenly I'm 2-3. So it was very cool, and I'm 2-3 against Escanor, and he's 1-0. I have literally no hope that game, because I think I go to 3 a turn or 2 later, and then he goes to 3, and yeah, it's Escanor.
Yeah, sounds about right.
So that was a very quick loss, but it happens.
I queued into Hololive, Miko Sora Marine, a deck that I have played into before, for sure. Playing with Tanner a lot. This deck is a really easy matchup for 7 Deadly Sins. You just throw damage at them all game. They can't really do much. The fact that your board is weirdly too big for Miko, because she's pretty small, even with pumps and stuff like that. Really only got 1 or 2 reverses leading up to that. But then, of course, Sora comes down. It doesn't really matter. They're just kind of waiting Sora to come down. I was able to resolve Nanashi twice. First one hit, second one didn't. When you're getting rid of the Soras, it's hard for them to put the Soras back down. So every one you get rid of means that your Escanor turn is just even better. Opponent really couldn't do anything while I was removing all the stuff. Card Titan's a really cool card for blowing up all these mid-game Hololive decks. You just put it down over and over, and it only costs you 1 stock, and you don't have a very high stock threshold. You don't really care. It's not like in AOT where milling out climaxes and stuff might make your finisher turn worse. It's something you actually have to think about. In 7 Deadly Sins, you just slam Nanashi over and over and over again, and you don't really care at that point. So it's a really easy matchup for Escanor, so I was able to take that one. Just unfortunate that Hololive player queued into the SDS lane that round. Pretty free matchup for me. Nico?
Yeah, so I queued into 8 Door Quints. This was similarly to what happened to my Hololive opponent from round 1. This was not really a super great game for me. I opened up pretty poorly. I wasn't able to really establish a board until I hit about level 2. And this guy definitely knew the classic technique of slamming a climax every turn to keep pushing damage. After a while, I couldn't keep up with it. I made a sort of questionable play to where I thought I could maybe survive. From I think I healed down to 3-1. Because my options at that point were to clock to try to find the Nino climax and kill him from 2-4, or I could sandbag a turn. Unfortunately, with how Weiss Schwartz is, I hit him to 3. he even though he didn't have, I think he only had 4 stock. He still drops down double Itsuki and just kind of like shits all over me. So I just explode and die from there. So unfortunately, we're ending off round 2 with a loss. So we're 1-1 at this point.
All right, moving on to round 3, 1-1.
Okay, round 3. I'm a little shook. Toronto wasn't good this first 2 rounds. The Bang Dream game was like a little spooky, right? And then I just got deleted in round 2. But now I see 8 gold bar, 7 deadly sins. The king can't bounce back. The really kind of weird tech Shimakaze into the king, the mills like 6 or whatever. Yeah, I had actually the perfect opener. I got to clean cut a brainstorm to the back row, have a low plus in the middle, pushing a ton of damage early into double Watame level 1 plus something else I forget. Into double or triple Kanata at level 2. Basically my deck was doing everything it was supposed to. And his deck, was 8 gold bar, 7 deadly sins. So I managed to actually clean that one up pretty easily and get a W.
Okay. I queued into Miko Sora. So another Sora deck for SDS to kind of poop on, unfortunately. All live players being very unlucky playing Sora and unfortunately queuing into me. Just a really bad matchup for them. Made even worse by the fact that my opponent unfortunately could not field enough playables. Pass back at 0, they had to pass a turn. And at that point, SDS really only needs 1 turn to run away with it, super compressed and just kind of sit there and continue to throw damage all game. So bad matchup and bad run of luck for my opponent. Was a pretty easy game for me that time. Nico?
So I went ahead and I queued into Choice Paints Bang Dream. So that is the Morphonica girl into Lisa top end. It was a fairly awkward game. It was kind of back and forth. I managed to get my board out. My opponent managed to whiff his Chu-2 timing on his first refresh. So he ended up having to he barely managed to mean on me. I think he got 1 mean on me off on the first deck, and then he managed to get 2 off on his second deck. He eventually managed to get the Chu-2s out. But at that point, I also had a full field of 2/2 Ninos. So I just kind of kept killing. He had 2 Chu-2s, and he had I can't remember even Bang Dream girls anymore. The rainbow colored creamsicle girl hair, whatever her name is. So he had the 2/2 Chu-2, or he had 2 Chu-2s and the support for it. I just kind of kept killing the support for it and hand encoring as needed, triggering standbys, moving them to the back row, all that stuff. Eventually, he tried to kill me from 2-5, and he wasn't able to do so, and I just kind of killed him on the back end with Nino CXs and the Ichika back soul pumper. It was a little bit of an unfortunate game for him, just because he some of the timings that he hit were really, really awkward.
All right, so that is a win. We are 2-1 going into round 4. Dean?
Round 4. Oh no. This one was 7 deadly sins again. There we go. I was struggling for half a second. Been a few days. So I fight against normal 7 deadly sins again. Once again, against the 8-bar deck, he opens with the Escanor level 0, the Aqua clone in the side lane. And I opened pure gas. I have clean cut. I have brainstorm. I got clean cut, aqua, and helmet or brainstorm. I forget. It doesn't matter. I have a clean cut target. That's what matters. So I try field him turn 1. Boom, hit him straight to 1. He hits me back with once again the Escanor level 0. That's the stock bomb. Killing the aqua.
That card that we saw all day at Escanor stock bomb.
Yeah, I'm not allowed to resolve this this stupid aqua, but that's fine. Because then I get hit to 1, and then I have Watame again. any game where I saw Watame was good, any game where I didn't was bad, and I just kind of I just was like 7 or 8 damage ahead of him, like, the entire game, like, or behind him, I guess. Like, if he's level 3, I'm, like, 2-2. So, yeah, I did make a horrible misplay there near the end, where at, like, 2-3, and he's, like, level 3, I attack with because I climax swap to, like, loop the Kanata, and I attack in the open lane, and I go, "Oh boy, a stock for next turn," when he canceled, and I put my climax swapper in stock against Escanor. Thankfully, didn't get punished, didn't die from 2-3, but there was a second there where I thought, "Oh my god, I cannot look to my left and look at Carmen and say, 'I'm sorry I lost that game.'"
Because you gave him an open lane.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Thankfully that didn't happen. Almost through, but not quite. So, yeah, another W.
I queued into Beaufree. They were playing 8 standby. My opponent did not have a very good game, and SDS is not very good. Is not a good deck to queue into. When you don't have a good opener, and like you cancel early and you're out, like really obvious. Like your opponent should shove damage to punish you. Well, playing 7 Deadly Sins and my opponent's not having a good game. They're not fielding a lot of zeros. They're not hitting a lot of standbys. They got open lanes for me to the trigger 2 soul triggers into, and that is exactly what happened, and the game was over very quickly. That is what SDS does. You open bad, and then that kills you. It's the absolute worst nightmare to sit across from, and the opener doesn't go well for you. So I did win that game.
Okay, so I went ahead and I queued into the 8 standby quintessential quintuplets mirror, which is a very, very fun mirror that everyone loves playing. The game ended up being very slow. We both were canceling a lot and kind of just like taking turns clearing each other's board. There was plenty of like decent plays being made, but they're all like kind of standard, right? It's just literally you make the play to try to force the issue, clear your opponent's board, that type of deal. Unfortunately, he ended up starting to lose the damage race after like this the first deck. What ended up happening, thank goodness I got clarification from the judge. We were in turns. My opponent was turn 2. He ended his turn at 3-5, and I'm at 2-5. And then I confirmed with the judge. I'm like, can I just pass turn now? And they said no. Well, like I said, like if I pass turn, do I win? They said no, because for whatever reason this event doesn't follow all the previous event rules, and they just say it's going to be a double loss. So I was like, oh shit. So I actually have to like try to crack him. I mean, my opponent just kind of ate a swing for 2 after that, and I killed him. But that was still kind of spooky. But that was just a mirror match. We'll just go with that.
Yeah, the time rules being like randomly different here. They were also different in the EU for the tournament that happened on the same weekend. Same way. So we assume it will be like this going forward for all events, where turns, instead of being 15 minutes and at the end of turns you do damage comparison, they are now 10 minutes, and at the end of turns, if the game has not concluded, it is a double loss. I do not know what happens if turns conclude but the time has not been hit yet. Maybe then damage comparison happens. I am not sure. But I don't even know if that case happened. But there were double losses that happened.
That's what he asked.
Okay, so it doesn't happen then.
Correct.
It's just double loss. The game doesn't end by the end of turns. That is very strange. I would think that if the game ends before the 10-minute timeout, it would be damage comparison, but I guess not. All right, so we are 3-1 going into round 5. Dean?
Yeah, finally starting to feel a little bit better after the month that went by after Toronto in this round. I sit across from Mushoku, 8 standby. And oh man, he did not have a good game. I think I opened with the La Plus or something in the middle, as always. And I forget what happens on his end. He puts down a couple cards, attacks twice. I kill them. I think I get a clean cut off. And then he ends up crashing a Cheery on the next turn because he's still level 0. And when he mills with the Cheery, he discards and then mills 3 climaxes and a 0. And I go, oh my god. My opponent is imploding. I like this. But then he gets to level 1. He puts down Eris, slams the wrong climax, Gizlane to the back row, ends up triggering a standby, has double Gizlane plus the Eris, and my deck actually can't answer the board anymore. It's pretty funny. But that's fine because like I just like side a lane, crash a lane, win against the level 0, and then he goes to level 2. Resolves, like I think he like standbys. Does he standby out the Paul now, or does he? I think he standbys out a Roxy back row with like nothing else going on, and then has the Eris climax, but a 2-card deck. So the Eris whiffs. So like it's just like everything that could go wrong in a game is going wrong for him. But once again, the board is too big. I side him out for a turn. He sides back and hits a Paul to like one of the lanes. To which I respond by double Watame his board. No, I single Watame him, play over the Watame, then like side out the Gizlanes again. And it's just like he's so far behind because he sided the Kantas the one turn to try to hold the board, but then I just Watame him, and then I end up like double Watameing him to put him on a 4-card clean deck and swing for 4 to then just kill him from 3-0. So it was really rough match for him, like where he was imploding every single turn. Like I don't think there was a single turn where I didn't just go, man, how unfortunate for him. But we take those.
Yeah, it's like we take those.
We take those. That was a long drive.
I sat down against good old 8 standby Quince. I am very happy that I play 4 Liz combo because I flooded with them pretty early. Which is actually good since you can start doing it from 0. So flooding that climax is not really that bad, or even that bad in 7 at least in general. You really just want to slam and keep up damage every turn. I did the 2-1 is really good in this matchup, and I did have both climaxes in my opening hand. I had like a Liz Brain. My opening hand going second was like Liz Brainstorm, 2-1, 2-1 Stock Soul, Liz Stock Soul, and like an Escanor Aqua. And I'm like, damn, this could not get any better. And then off the top, like off my clock draw, I rip another Liz Brainstorm, and I say, okay, all right, we're just doing this. And I actually make the decision to clock the 2-1 Stock Soul. We're just not even going to play into that. We're just going to play the 2-1 to kill his blue on 1 if he gets one, and we're just going to start slamming early. So I have this really early aggressive like gas on him to just sort of push the game as much as I can on first deck against Quince. He has a little bit of a rough opener in terms of cards that are actually on the board, but he does get a blue 1-1 down, gets the 2-2 down, and then starts to stabilize. He's a good player, and he's making all the right plays. He's doing all the right things, and he's starting to be able to stabilize like Quince does. So the game normalizes by the time we're both on second deck and becomes an actual game, which was really nice. We both got to actually make plays and feel like we were doing something, or as much as someone can against 7 Deadly Sins. It's still 7 Deadly. We get to endgame. He sets up like his board at 2. He has a Nino on board that he changes into. Like gets me with a burn 1, goes for a single. Nino has another Nino in the back ready to go for like a 2-turn extended finisher from his level 2 into the endgame. While healing down, he's at like 2-5. I go to like 3-2. I go, okay, it's time to Escanor combo. I start doing my thing. Really unfortunate final deck. I have to use resources burning through my entire deck, which thankfully I had from preserving them all game to get to my choice, which were the bottom 2 cards of my deck. No joke, the actual bottom 2 cards of my deck. But I was able to get there. It was really funny. My opponent's looking at me like, look at these bottom 2 cards. And I like ditch a choice, and he's like, what? Like audibly. And then like, I just show him, I was like, they were the bottom 2 cards, dude. And then I go over, play down my stuff, play out the Escanor turn. And I mean, like, again, we talked about this before. He was at 2-5, 2/6 if I remember correctly. He to live that from 2/4, to live the normal Escanor outcome from 2/4, you need to be 5-14, and 4 of those climaxes have to be in the top 10, and then the 5th one has to be somewhere in the following 4. And if they're in any other combination where unfortunately they're compressed near the top, you lose. Which is really cool. So it's like even worse. It's like even harder to live than needing like slightly better than 1 in 3 compression. You also need to have a specific order. Escanor is really cool. So I did get there, but it was a good game. My opponent and I like shook hands instead of fist bump. We were both like, yeah, it was a good one. So, or as good as you can get with 7 Deadly Sins on the. I did get that one in a good game. Shout out to my opponent. Nico.
My game was very similar to Dean's. It started off very good though. My opponent had like a really strong opener. He had like fielded these Gill Thunders. He dropped down the Escanor stock bomb, cleared like my 1/1. At one point, he cleared my 2/2 with it. But then he just kind of stopped. He ended up like clearing my board like the previous turn, and then the next turn he had like 2 attackers, and I was like, wait, what's happening? And then I just cracked him for damage after that, and then he plays down triple Escanor to heal, and then slams a Stock Soul to try to push damage. Like he doesn't get there, and then I just kind of end up killing him. I think we finished the game before Dean and Carmen finished theirs. And I like right after the game, I was asking him like, "Hey, well, like what happened?" And he's just like, "Hey, yeah, I got flooded with like level 3s and all that, and I just ran out of playables and wasn't able to find any more."
I think that's you said he was on the level 0 Escanor stock bomb, right?
Yeah.
I feel like the lists that are slamming for of that have less ditch outs in general. I feel like
that's probably the compromise they need to make to play that card.
To play that
you
card.
have to play that card as like a 4 of.
Yeah, or it doesn't work because they need to have extra copies in grave.
Yeah. So that may have been what happened. But either way, same thing. We take those. So that's a W on the board.
All right. So we get into round 6.
Last round, I fight against Gate, Choice, AOT.
Your choice.
And
Sure.
Carmen will say what he will, but that's fine.
Sure.
Game, how did this game go? He starts off with the center runner, and I have like a hand of like a clean cut and some other stuff. I'm like, oh, center runner, annoying, whatever. LaPlus in middle. He stays on the side, sure. Next turn, he puts down a second center runner and attacks twice. I'm like, oh, like this clean cut is dead. I managed to kill the center runners by using like the Miko drop searcher and a couple, I think like climax plus some other stuff. And then he fields triple Mikasa. Like I'm like, oh no, this is insane. I get to hit to 2. He's still at 1. He's like a 1/3. I stock soul double Kanata side or front the first one. He eats 4. He move gears back, eats 4. He's now 2. His move gear did not grab an anti-change, I don't believe. I think it grabbed like a stock healer. So I front the next one. And then he anti-changes me. And I go, unfortunate. Happens, like whatever. Then I end up like siding him, or I forget. I think I wasn't bigger than the Mikasa. I actually had like a lane that was less than 4 or 5. So I end up just sticking a little bit of damage. He ends up not healing and not being able to answer the Kanata because I don't think he goes for the stock heal play. So, because of course I have like anti-change and other stuff, right? So it's like, why would he front into this thing? Because I'm assuming he couldn't get the back row assist to hand. So I get the free lane with the Kanata next turn. I double Kanata again. This time I side, just to respect the possibility for a second counter, and because at this point, like I was like, the first time he anti-changed, I didn't really care. If I got anti-changed again, it would be pretty bad. And then I end up hitting him exactly to 3-0, so I'm in a pretty good spot. He hits me to 2-6, and now I'm left at a weird spot where I have access to Stock Soul. I can try to heal down, but he's like 3-15, and I could just kill him here from 3-0. So I go for triple Marine play, and it ends up working out. He ends up dying, and we take those.
I queued into Kana Tamarine after having a really good run all day. I was like 5-0 at this point. My luck eventually ran out. This game was like a travesty. My opponent was doing the very classic Kana Tamarine, cancel everything on first deck, but then they can just clock themselves to hit exactly what they need to get up to anyway. So I fell behind. I was triggering on first attack like every single attack phase. It was pretty bad. I was losing climax like crazy. I was hemorrhaging. I did like continue to put up a fight because my opponent was being very passive. He was like slamming climaxes and like siding my 1065s, like, but like they were living on board, which I was like trying to leverage to come back, but wasn't able to like get down to all these climaxes that I was triggering first attack, while also like trying to trigger stock souls and trying to dig for triggers, keep up damage, and my opponent just canceling everything, no matter the compression. At one point, like my opponent was like 2 and like 16, 17 or something like that, and they canceled twice that turn, and then like milled out, and I was like, dear God. But like, you know, it catches up with you. You can't win every game. But I did go down that one. So we're 1-1 right now, and it's up to Nico. Nico, how'd your game go?
Unfortunately, this is gonna, spoiler alert, this is an L. I queued into Standby Bar Mushoku. I think it's similar to the list that Randall played at the California Spring Fest. I was not having a good game, but where I think, just because like he was able to clear my board and like all that, I had a chance to recover it, so, and I like managed to stand by out a 2-2, and I was going to be able to like crack over 2 lanes. But I forgot that the 2-1 anti-damage counter actually has a first line of text it makes it a 4K backup. So I cracked my opponent to like level 2, and then he plays the backup just as like, you know, or he plays the counter just as a backup, and I was like, oh no. At that point, because he crashed over my he managed to get over my 2-2. At that point, if I had decided to hand encore it, I would have gone to like down to like a 1-card hand or something. So like I had to let it go, and I was just like not really able to recover from that. I did manage to almost kill him. You know, haha, close game. I think I cracked him at like 3-4, 3-5 just by, you know, pushing damage. But I just ended up dying on the swing back. So unfortunately, we're 4-2 now.
We were talking about that on the ride home. That list is pretty well positioned in this like weird Goldilocks zone before Alice, where it's puts the level 1 board in front of 7 Deadly Sins, so they're at least forced to crash, and then like has the Rooted to like blow up the board based decks too. Good on Randall for like seeing that, and like good on everybody else for seeing that and realizing the same thing and like bringing it, because that list is pretty nasty. I played that at locals past week. It's actually pretty cool and pretty smooth running deck. I was very surprised on how smooth it ran, despite the like weird climax split and stuff. But yeah, we're 4-2. We're on the bubble again. Bubble boys. Oceans 06 trying to sneak into top 8. Thankfully, we did. We finally won the bubble wars this time. We had good tiebreakers. Our people, we lost to round 2. Our team went down to round 2. Continued, tearing it up. We met them at the local the day previously. Nico and I, they were all very cool people. And they were tearing it up too, so that helped our tiebreakers. We were able to get into top 8. The process waiting for top 8 for trios is truly grueling. You get put on ice for like an hour.
Then
24-person deck check.
And then the deck check happens, and they go, Dragon Shields aren't very good. By the way, regardless of what Carmen says, either buy pure, like, black...
Yeah, buy black
Dragon
or
Shields.
buy the...
character sleeves.
No, the ones with the black cores, where they're black inside
No.
and color on the outside.
Go buy a Pokemon ETB. Oh, you probably can't do that. But
Yeah.
Character sleeves, something where you can't see the card, because if you buy any shade of Dragon Shields,
It's
you can
not black.
probably see through it. You can probably see through it.
Yeah.
And that was
Well,
leading to
no. Again,
contention.
you're not. It's if you're not using black or the black insided ones. Even if they're super dark, these were like dark blue. He was like, I got to check every single one because they're not truly completely non-translucent. I was like, oh,
Right.
or opaque, and I was like, okay, but they don't even make those anymore. Actually, if you go to your LGS and they have a new order of Dragon Shields in, they're all the black core, and then you can use whatever color back you want. I actually used those in New York, and I had yellows. Didn't have any trouble. Since I was on the if people fail, you can get
by
in
the way,
thing.
shout out to that judge. He was like,
Oh, he's a homie.
he
Yeah.
he actually played the game. That's insane. Don't
Yeah.
see that often. I
That,
think like
that judge was an ultra homie.
What's his face? I know you judged with one of the other guys. The last time we were in singles in Atlanta in like 2019, one of the judges you judged with also plays Weiss.
Yeah, so there's
Which
like
is
multiple
insane.
judges. There are
Yeah.
multiple judges there that played Weiss, which is like nice change of pace from what I'm used to.
Mm-hmm. So, do we want to talk about our round 1 top 8?
Oh yeah, let's go. We top 8'd. That's the end of the story. Bitch.
That's it.
Yeah, I start up, I shuffle up, bro. I'm like, okay, I've redeemed myself from Toronto where I ate shit and died every round. Nice. Shuffle up, draw my opening hand. My opening hand, I'm like, oh Jesus, I can't mulligan. I have double clean cut. I think brainstorm, double clean cut, something else. It's like a 0, and then the Watame level 1. And I'm like, oh my god, why would I ever get rid of a card in this hand? It was probably like a La Plus or something. I draw for turn. I think I was going second.
You were
My
going
opponent
second.
opened.
Yeah.
I was going second, and my opponent opened Aqua in the middle, and I draw like Stock Soul. I clock, I think, a clean cut, and I draw La Plus again. So I have 2 La Pluses now on top of like still having the clean cut for the following turn. And like I forget what the other card was. It was something. It doesn't matter. End up putting down 2 La Pluses, trading La Pluses. Ricky, I think I get like Cheery Watame. And on my second attack, I trigger a choice. So I'm out of Stock Soul and a choice. That's fine, like whatever. And then he tri-fields me with the climax, and suddenly I'm 1-6 or like 1-5 or something. I think I'm 1-4, 1-5, and I because I just ate like all the damage, and I'm like, oh, that's a little rough, and I don't have access to a choice without climax swapping away my 1 Stock Soul because I don't draw another climax despite being over halfway through the deck, and even if I did, I still have only seen the single Watame, and I just go, damn. I guess I try to use this clean cut and just like sandbag a turn, and then he goes to 1, and then I go to 2-4 or 2-3. I think it was like 2-3, 2-4, and I'm looking at my hand of triple backup Stock Soul, but I haven't seen a helmet. I've not seen a level 3 Kanata. I didn't get to resolve my combo. I've just got nothing. I have literally nothing in my hand. I have a climax swap for single choice combo after milling out most of my deck. The problem is I didn't mill enough of my deck because in my 7-card deck, there were still 2 climaxes, and I ended up double triggering them, hitting my opponent to 2-2 or 2-1. So, by the way, I'm still 2-4, by the way. And I'm left with a 2-card deck of pure damage, and he clocks up to 2-3, triple Kanatas me behind tap counter. I eat it all. I'm now 3-5. I double Connor to go down to 3-3 and then have to crash into his hand of nothing but backups while he triple cancels. Basically, I got deleted off the face of the earth. Like it was like the opening hand, and I'm like, oh baby, as long as we don't implode, and then every turn after was implosion. So
I had a similar experience actually. With Dean, I don't think mentioned we all queued into the mirror.
Oh
All of
yeah, I
us.
forgot about. Yeah,
All of us
I
were in the mirror.
Hall and Mirror.
And the deck that was most different, that was only different at all, was Dean and his opponents. Although they were both on like Kanata Marine variants. I think between me and my opponent and Nico and his opponent, we might have had 2 cards different,
If
or
I may,
four cards different total between the 2 of our decks, like the 2 of our lanes.
I'm sorry,
Yeah,
I
it sounds
forgot.
accurate.
Yeah.
I forgot about the last part of this story.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
sorry.
What's up?
That was when I was at 3-4 and my opponent was at 2-0. I put down the Watame to not get hit with tap counter on my first attack, and I whiffed.
Yo, she always whiffs when you truly need her. She
So
always whiffs.
yeah, that was it. That was my last.
All right,
But
so yeah,
so we all cured into the mirror. We all
I
queued into
I
the
had a
mirror.
similar situation to Dean. I drew up. I drew into the King Global in the mirror, and I'm like, damn, okay, just need to not explode. Like this was like the one thing that could help me, and other than that, it's just like, who has the better game, because this matchup's degenerate. And like, he goes first, he like puts down the Aqua, and I put down like the King and a what is it, like a climax swap, and kill it and clock kick it. And I'm like, yeah, everything's gonna be great. And then I just eat shit, and everything after that is just terrible. Like, nothing goes my way. Like, I do find like the 1065s. I'm like, we're both comboing, like we're both still drawing climax and stuff like that, but like, he's canceling, I'm not. Like, I'm from behind, like I'm playing from a level ahead. I like throw down like a double early play board, which like you normally never do in this deck because you're trying to save resources, because he's still at 1 and like he'll have to crash into me. And like maybe I can get bored and like heal down with Diane's and sort of take the game that way, where like I'm always ahead, but like he can't get himself to 3 because he's compressed. After having like a good first deck and me like having not such good timing from eating so much damage, maybe I can play it so that like, yeah, I'm ahead, yeah, I'm at 3, and I'm like healing down every turn, but like he can't kill me and he has to crash, and like maybe I could try to kill him from like 2-5, 2-6. And then of course he just eats the damage that he has to get to 3 over deck, and he unfortunately does not find the climax. There's this glimmer of hope where he throws down, similar to how the one player threw down triple Escanor against Nico. He throws down the Escanors just to heal, slams a Stock Soul. I am able to live. My deck is like reasonably compressed. Like I'm like 1-4. I have a line to kill him over deck if I can find a climax, because I pay 3 save an Escanor. I have 2 other lanes. I'm unfortunately, Dean and I talked about this after the game. He was confused as to why I didn't put on the 1-0 Meliodas. I had 4 stock when I pay 3 Encore the Escanor. My bottom stock was a 1-0 Meliodas. There was a 1-0 Meliodas in my level. There was one in my grave and one in my hand. So I could not find the other 1-0 Meliodas to like do the checks to dig for triggers, which would have been the best play, which I was not able to do. But I did have a line to Elaine Brainstorm twice to try to find a climax to go for a single swing for 3 to try to close the game out. And I whiffed on 8 cards worth of Brainstorm. Yeah, like all of my climaxes were at the bottom. It just didn't matter. I ended up swinging like literally 1-1-2 that turn. Didn't find a single trigger. And he canceled. Swung back and killed me. The game gave me a glimmer of hope, but it was not enough. So Dean and I both ended the day 5-2 overall. Nico, how'd your mirror go?
Unlike these guys, we actually had a game going for our mirror match. Unfortunately, I'll call it. My opponent passed a couple more not spell checks, skill checks than I did. Yeah. So my opponent, for example, we're playing the 8 stand by Quince Mirror. He opens up with, the clock kick back row. I have to Ricky for it. At one point, we both have like a 1-1 out on the field. I try to clear his. I think the situation kind of goes like he has just a 1-1 on the field, and he has 2 open lanes. Try field him. I give a clock kick to my 1-1, and then I go like swing for 2, cancels on 2, swing for 2, cancels on 2, and then in the open lanes, and then it's like, okay, swing with this one for 1, trigger for 2. He's like, yeah, eat the 2, level up. Clock kick fails, I get the hand encore now. So just little things like that. It didn't really matter too much. It's the Quince Mirror whenever both of your decks are running is like really cool because you're both usually like clocking every turn, and you're usually playing with like a 2-card hand. It's boy, it's something, let me tell you. At one point he manages to get Nino CX and a Nino for his like 2 cards in hand on his final turn, and he manages to seal the game out while I was at 3-0. Yeah. But at that point, we were just kind of playing it out because I overheard that both Dean and Carmen were already lost.
Yeah,
So
our games were pretty fast.
signature didn't really
Yeah.
matter there, but yeah, it was. At the very least, I felt like I had a real game there, as opposed to what happened with you guys.
Overall on tournament experience, I think we did well. We made top 8. Our individual records were all pretty good.
Bro, I need that
particularly well as a
Shioko,
team.
man.
I think we got unlucky with facing the mirror in every. Mirrors are never like fun. With the way the top 8 went, we would have had to play a mirror at some point anyway. It's just like it was exactly the same lanes. Like we didn't even get to dodge the wing swap. It was just quince to quince, SDS to SDS, and Hololive to Hololive. But what can you do? And it happens. The meta is pretty narrow right now.
Yeah, 8 Hololives in top 8, insane.
Yeah, 8 Hololives in top 8, 5 7 Deadly Sins, 5 or 6 quints, right?
5 quints. It was
5
like
quints, yeah.
super condensed, really gross.
Yeah, I don't know. I was pretty frustrated after the tournament, not with my performance, not how we did, not with any of my individual games, but with the state of the metagame. I've never been more down on like the state of the game than while piloting SDS into like a big regional like this. I felt like while I was playing SDS, provided that I was making like baseline level good White Schwartz plays, the deck is like completely automatic. There are no decisions to be made at any point. You know exactly what you're sculpting for. You know exactly how to get there. Outside of the random ordering of your deck, there's not much that stops you from the deck working. There's nothing your opponents can do to slow you down. There's nothing they can do to counterplay you outside of money countering the second Escanor lane, and that is provided that you didn't have a good enough game to double Gil Thunder bounce, which does happen in some games. Your game goes long enough and you play enough Diane healers and extend your 2 long enough that you can actually sculpt and play double Gil Thunder bouncer. I've never felt like there was less skill expression in those games where I was playing 7 Deadly Sins. It felt like my opponents could not do anything aside from the one of 3 decks that exist out there that can play money counter, because a lot of money counters are full field. It's really only TRV and Sal that can present that right now, and that's only for the second lane, which even in some situations doesn't even matter. You can make the right play in that decision where it doesn't matter anyway. Just like really frustrated that like a deck like this kind of exists. It's pretty bleak.
Here's a question for you.
Yeah.
Do you ever like just go for Cartine before Gil Thunder bounce?
In none of the matchups I played, no. But like you can. It is if you have the stock and you have the card.
It's 1 stock less.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah, it's 1 stock less.
I felt similar to Carmen, but like in a different way, where it's like I just don't find I felt better about my performance, thank God. Toronto
That's good, yeah.
But it's the meta, not even just 7 Deadly Sins. It's like I feel like a lot of the decks just get away with too much for too little. And it's like even though I've done well and I'm happy about my individual performance, I'm not exactly happy with the meta game nor how matchups play out currently.
Yeah. Can
So
agree there.
yeah, that's I'm not gonna get too doomer on this stream, but
I mean, we got a ban list coming in tomorrow. We'll see what happens. I'm crossing my
only
fingers.
2 sets, but there's 3 decks, and there's also a fourth. There's a secret fourth.
There's a secret. But
Wait, what? What is the secret fourth?
The secret fourth is Sao, which hasn't come out yet.
Yeah, sure, dude.
Which
You
comes
got
out
it.
in 2 weeks.
Okay. If something's gonna come out and you expect it to be as good or better than the current decks, but we ban the current decks, that doesn't make the format. That actually makes it worse.
It was funny. Before the tournament, I was talking with Connor, Mr. Boats Don't Sink, and we were talking about how we both kind of agreed at that point that Alice coming out is like enough of a nerf to SDS because it forces them to like crash every lane starting from level 1. But then I like played my rounds for the day, and if you're on 4 Elizabeth Stock Soul and you build for your floor,
Just still crash.
you really don't have that much trouble crashing every lane every turn and still sculpting your finisher. Like, how little you care about what you field literal garbage in the front row unless it is an actual threat card. And like your answers, like Cart Titan, are so gross that like your opponent puts out these like crazy mid-game threats, right against these Hololive, and you're like, 1 stock, answer 2 lanes, extend hand, and your opponent's like,
that's what was hitting me.
Yeah,
in Toronto, is I would put out like 13 Ks at 2, and then they would just disappear and go, oh.
And then it's like, I got Escanor ready to go, haha, teehee, smile, like on the following turn. Like I was the one doing it, and I was depressed doing it. I was depressed. Like, shout out to all my opponents. Like, hey, like just like not letting it show, but like holy crap, sitting across from 7 Deadly Sins. I've done it, and like I wish it upon no one. But you gotta have it on every team while it's legal, because this deck is unfair. This deck is absolutely unfair.
Better than Hololive, which has more spots, definitely.
I think Hololive. Well, okay. The difference between 7 Deadly Sins and Hololive, Dean, which you're gonna laugh, but
popularity.
It's not even popularity. It's there's build variation in Hololive at the very least. True. In SDS, they're all basically the same. If you're playing the Escanor and you're playing the 1/0 Meliodas that checks for the 2 triggers, and you're playing 6 Stock Souls, you're playing the same deck. But like the fact that deck, you don't even slam Climax and you swing 3/3/3 every lane while crashing. You swing 3/3/3 in every lane while going under is like, it's turbo gross. It's so gross. We'll see what happens tomorrow. I'm crossing my fingers. But yeah, I was proud of our performance. I was proud of my personal performance. I didn't have any other games like that or anything like that I was frustrated about. I was just frustrated about the actual state of the game, because it literally, from the beginning of the day to the end of the day, I came out of that event with a completely different opinion, where I was like, oh, it's gonna be fine. Like Alice is gonna like curb this deck a little bit, and then like. And I tested SDS a lot. Like, I had these games and stuff like that, but like seeing how it performed like in a tournament environment, like, you know, because like I played into a lot of meta stuff, I played into some off meta stuff. It's still just like, it's like turbo gross. And I was like, nope. Even when this deck crashes every single lane, it doesn't matter. Like, you just get there. You don't care about what you put in the front row. You just turn every single lane in the front row upside down, and you still sculpt and you still get there. Like, you shouldn't. A deck like this shouldn't be around where like you can't even do things to slow it down. But anybody got anything else?
It'll be interesting to see what happens tomorrow.
I thought it was tonight.
No,
I thought they said the 6th.
No, it's just the 7th. I believe. We can check Twitter right now. It wasn't too long ago. I'll do that while Nico says what he says.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how the ban list shakes things up, if it even does anything. Just because, like, as we were talking earlier, Sal's about to come out, and that's gonna, it's gonna become it. I almost think it's gonna come to a term of like, if you're not running both like Sal and SDS, unless SDS gets hit on your team, you're just actually inting.
I mean, I feel like
it is the 7th. I just checked.
Already at that point.
I was talking with Andy about this earlier today, and Andy made an interesting point. Banning Hololive to an extent doesn't even do anything because they have a new set coming out. So if you just like let Hololive go, you know, if you just take Hololive out of consideration for something that would even be banned, like maybe the ban list is does that, but
you can't even argue to be banning on performance then because it just has such overwhelming amount of tops.
We will have to see what occurs. I honestly want to choose 3 on 7 Deadly Sins. I want that deck murdered. I would rather let Quince continue to run free. But the thing with Quince
New
is
stock.
Yeah, is if you don't restrict the 2/2 or the 3/2, people are still gonna play it. It doesn't matter how hard you hit it. It has to include one of those 2 cards. So it doesn't really matter what they do at that rate, because then the movie set comes out and they just like change their level 1 lineup where they play a card that's kind of reminiscent of of Eris, where like they get their hand back immediately, as opposed to Dal. Unfortunately, we're looking at chat. Darcy's talking about Dal. I don't think Dal getting unrestricted does literally anything. It's the new Dal 8 standby. No matter what you add to it now, is just Nijigasaki Light.
Did you know that Dal Rickies are $30?
Yeah, I know they are.
Today.
The new Ricky's $15. What's up, Kit? Welcome.
Hello. I heard banlist talk, so
Yeah, we're done with our rounds, so now we're speculating because I was being doomer about SDS.
I think you're rightfully so.
Well, I was dude.
Anyone who thinks
Nico,
otherwise.
What was worse? What was worse to listen to? All the country music, or me bitching about like SDS, like bitching out of the meta on repeat? Which was worse?
Oh, listen, dude, I thrive on complaining. So I'm still gonna have to go back to the country music. Yeah. I love complaining, dude.
Whoa, country music. Should have drove with me, Nico.
Yeah. Okay. The what's it called? The Kimono Friends like deathcore remixes are worse.
What? The Kimono Friends music is like Mario. Okay.
Mario movie.
Like. I haven't seen the Mario movie.
Mario movie slap.
By the way, Lackadaisical.
I thought it was kind of mid, but
that's my shout out.
Okay.
I think you just didn't grow up the way I did, Nico.
As someone who hasn't watched the movie, it was pretty mid.
Wow. I still got to see the D&D movie.
The Sonic movie has like set a bar that the Mario movie has not met.
Okay, the Mario movie wasn't meant to be the Sonic movie, dude. I don't think the Sonic movie had the same attention to detail and like level of like little references and little nods that the Mario movie did. But
you know what? The only regret, I do have like a huge regret when I went to go see the movie. I wanted to go see the movie with you because like
there was a lot of Italian stereotyping in the beginning.
Minutes of that movie is so egregious on the Italian stereotypes.
I thought it was funny. I was dying the whole time. I also love Jack Black. What a perfect human. I love him.
Okay. I love Bowser.
Yeah,
we talked about this.
The little dude, the little Luna, the little Luna was also a highlight. The little star that was like the depressing star. That thing was so funny.
Yeah, it was.
That was hilarious. I still got to see the D&D movie. I was gonna go with my dad because Dad is the one who got me the D&D. So I gotta figure that out. But I heard that one was also good. But I guess back to ban list. Darcy brings up a good point. I hate SDS 2, but it's pretty new. Not sure it will die. Yeah.
Would require them to
stock swap. If they ban the Nino to limit 2, that deck is dead. Yeah, they got to touch the 3/2 or the 2/2 in some way, or like the deck continues to like drag itself forward. Like no matter how many times its legs have been like crippled and broken, it will continue to claw forward on the merit of the 3/2 and the 2/2. I mean, we saw that in Japan. They literally like they were like, please, dear God. It's like that meme, right? Of like the girl like crying. It's like, please, babe, stop playing Quince. Please stop playing a standby Quince. And it's the Chag guy be like, no, I will still play it. The 2/2 still swings on the first turn. I will still play the deck. We literally saw that happen in Japan.
Listen, I think Seven Deadly Sins is such a fucking horribly designed deck that it should be like taken out back and shot as soon as possible.
It's awful. I
I
absolutely hate it. I hate that it exists more so than the other. I hate a lot of the decks in
Okay.
the meta, but that one's like something
What
else.
I'm more worried about is that because they fucked up with this, I hope they're not afraid to continue pushing design with the English exclusives though. I would rather this happen where the deck has to be dealt with than for them to like put out Batman Ninjas. You know?
Batman Ninja's
I a million percent
insane.
agree.
Don't even joke, Dean.
Shut up, Dean.
I'll kick
I
you
love
from
the
this
deck
call.
cards.
I want them to release more relevant English only sets because like if we're gonna have this our own random ban list that doesn't follow anything that Japan follows, I'd rather it have like a completely different meta than Japan. And like even though we have like Seven Deadly Sins, it's like literally like I think literally shuts on everything, or at worst, literally worst case scenario, it's a 50-50, if even that, against every matchup. I'd rather what is it? I just want a completely different meta than Japan. Then, if we're gonna like have completely different ban lists and we're making like arbitrary random bans, because like half the bans they make sometimes, like ever since they started the ban list, I just feel don't have any like I don't understand why they came to that reasoning. Like the Kaguya ban was really random. Um, what was the other one? Oh, the way they banned Quince in English was really weird too. I mean, like yeah, I just don't.
Yeah, I agree. Stock swap, like touching Hololive doesn't do a lot, especially with the new set coming.
Just
So
Maureen ban,
just
please.
ignore it.
Just ban it.
Look, dude, I said this forever ago. I love Maureen, but she needs put in horny jail. She needs bonked. She needs curbed a little bit too efficient. But
Yeah, efficient finishers like that are insane. And also, like we there's no way that one of the bands they're doing isn't Quince, right? Because I think if they don't
I think
update
Hololive
Quince,
is honestly like better, especially like after like the top 8 that we
I
have
can't-
and just the deck. What's up?
I can't believe that Kaguya got like a first twice. I think it's time. It has to go back out back.
Yeah, Kaguya is
oh
actually
my god, please don't restrict the set anymore.
It has 2 first place.
They
finishes.
they let me put the K SPs back in my deck. I have this page with my Chica SPs. I just sit and stare at them sometimes. Not allowed to use them. Unfortunate. I would like to see unbans. I know people were talking about that. I know they're not listed on there. I'd like to see Kaguya just randomly go free. Freed Kaguya in a Alice meta would actually be pretty interesting. It's one of the few decks that can slot a large amount of level 2 killers and not be hampered in other matchups. Because we talked about this before with Dean, and I'm in agreement here, is that like if you heavy overtech for Alice and then you don't see the matchup, especially in something like trios where you have a 66% less chance to see the deck, then your deck is just worse for every other matchup. Especially when Quince is the standby deck, because Quince, you don't even benefit in the Quince matchup for having a 2/2 killer.
Carmen, we said the same about Seven Deadly Sins, but we found out, me and Kit have found out the secret to Seven Deadly Sins.
What is that? What's the secret?
play Seven Deadly Sins.
The secret is if you're in seat A, that's where almost every team
yeah,
shoves
that's where all
it.
the Seven Deadly Sins are.
Oh yeah, sure. Seat meta. I will not respect seat meta talk. There's no seat meta.
Okay.
If you could talk to your opponents, there'd be a seat meta. Put SDS in the center so that your SDS player who will undoubtedly finish their matches faster can then help the other 2 players. But we're not allowed to talk to our opponents. But we cut off Swiss around too early, but we're not allowed to talk to our opponents. That'd be too rough.
All right, real talk.
We also can't get a consistent rule set down between all of our English events, like
okay. I think this is just the new rule because it also happened in EU on the same weekend. So I think we can expect that to be the new time rules going forward. Did you hear about this, Kit? The time rules changed? So instead of being 15 minutes, 3 turns at the end of those 3 turns damage comparison, it's 10 minutes, 3 turns. If the game does not conclude within those 3 turns, double loss.
Yeah, that's been the thing this entire season, right?
No.
That's what happened.
No.
In California, that's what it was.
Okay, so it was like that in California?
Yeah.
Because the first
Yeah,
thing I said is it was like this in Georgia. I did not know if it was like this in California.
It was exactly like that in California. My girlfriend's team actually got a double game loss because of that ruling.
Okay, all right. So it was like that in California.
Oh, fake
Okay.
news.
No, nobody from that played in that spoke up when we were talking about it in one comp Discord. So we were not sure, but okay.
That's the ruling. As far as I'm aware, and I talked to Simu, I think this is just literally what it's going to be. And like, obviously Simu doesn't represent Bushiroad or anything. He just shows up to judge. We talked a lot about how like we kind of all agree like the in-game procedures for like after time suck for Weiss because of how Weiss is, and there's almost
Yeah.
nothing we can do about it that's like would make it easy on
All
everyone.
all you can do about it as a player is just be ready to actually call slow play on people now. Where if someone just hey, just ask, just be like, hey, like, can we pick up the pace a little bit? Like, I really don't want to have to call slow play. I really don't want to have to get a judge involved, but like, we gotta get this moving because the new time rules, and if people continue to like be slow and taking their time and stuff like that, and obviously like not taking meaningful game actions, you just got to be ready to actually call slow play, which sucks because then the judges like they Hawkeye your game and like it's awkward for everybody. But like you do what you got to do. You're there to win games. You're not there to like,
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to remember that you're a competitor when you're at these regionals. You drove or you traveled or maybe you didn't travel or whatever, but like you're invested to the point where you entered this event. Like you're there to be playing to win. And if you're not, then it shouldn't matter. But you know what I'm trying to say. Like don't feel bad about calling slow play if you have to.
It's what's the frustrating part about slow play is we talked about this too, is that it's just so arbitrary and hard to like figure out like, all right, I can give you extra time for this and stuff. Like I know for a fact judges are supposed to be a little bit more aware about people, like because hopefully at the end of the round there's only a few people left playing. It's kind of a coin flip if that happens or not. But judges are told that they need to pay attention to the current player's turn and stuff like that to make sure they're not like purposely slow playing and things like that. And it's really like this is something I asked too, and people at Bushiroad didn't give me a really good answer at all, and Simu didn't really have an answer as well. And like I said, once again, Simu is obviously not a representative of Bushiroad. But I talked to them about like how much better it would be if like because every other card game event I've ever been to in my entire life, any card game, they literally have clocks like set up so people can keep track of time. And then I was told that Bushiroad actually hates that completely because they think people will start playing towards like timing out, which is kind of dumb in my opinion. I don't think people would ever play to that in this type of game at least. And judges are told they can never tell you the exact time left or not even close to the exact time. All they can say really is about 5 minutes, about 10 minutes. Like they have to do round off numbers like that, and they can't.
I did get that when I asked the judge. Actually, now that I think back, I did ask,
Yeah.
and it was our one good judge too, the one that deck checked us. I was like, about how much time is left in the round, and he's like, about 5 minutes. He had to give me that thing. I know. TalkSwap mentioned this in their tournament report. He wears a watch. And that's a good thing to start doing. Dude, like bring a stopwatch.
I'm gonna start calling third party interference there. If I can't have my phone out for a clock, why can they actually have a wristwatch?
Got it. Well, because it only has one function. If you wear like there's a difference between the. I think the line starts to get blurred when you have things like smartwatches and stuff. But I'm sure like opens a whole can of worms. But like can bring a Timex. Like you can wear your. You can wear a watch. You can have a stopwatch. Yeah. He said, StockSwap saying Japan has timers.
On a like next event I go to, I'm gonna actually think about like if people have like stopwatches like on their wristwatch or something, like are they allowed to use that or not? Because
I believe you are. Yeah, it's just it's a difference between functionality.
Well, the problem is in the rules you can't have any electronics or anything in there. It's actually in the rules that you can't like technically that should fall within it, but I don't know. So I'd rather just, if you're gonna do this, anyone out there is like, you should ask the judge at the event as well before you give your
I think kid, I think you can just time it. I think you can just wear a watch. I don't think there's
Okay.
anything wrong with wearing a watch, but
No, but I mean, I don't think. Okay, I think you can get away with wearing a watch. I'm saying if you start a timer on your watch to look at the timer as well. Like, sure you can. Sure you can be like, okay, we start at 35. That means at like
yeah,
35,
I think
know
that's all I was saying. Like, but yeah, if you
yeah.
if you had like an actual stopwatch or whatever, I don't
Just-
know, maybe the line gets
Just play faster, bro. What's going
yeah.
on?
I mean, they
No,
are
well-
pretty good about giving warnings, like in terms of 5-minute warnings and stuff. But
yeah, relatively. There was a couple
I don't know.
rounds.
I hate wearing a
California
watch,
where-
so I probably won't. I hate having something on my wrist. If
Yeah.
I'm not dressing up for an event, I usually don't wear a watch. Maybe I will. Maybe the spike in me will overcome my discomfort, and I will wear a watch to check myself. 'Cause, I don't know. I think with some of the decks, thankfully we don't have anything right now like Madoka out there. The meta
Alright,
where, okay,
What do you
dude,
think?
the meta. I talked about this with
Definitely.
Andy extensively. Like in the meta where Madoka Heal Loop was going to be a deck that people could play, I was like extremely worried about people legitimately playing for Time Scum. Because that is a deck where you can actually like look your opponent in the face, take quote unquote meaningful game actions, and yet like still actively attempt to Time Scum your opponent like underhandedly.
Oh yeah, brother.
Like literally, you can literally take quote unquote meaningful actions while actively trying to time scum your opponent and be like immune to like judge calls. Be like, I'm playing the deck. Look, I keep doing game actions, and like you literally can't argue it. Because slow play is defined by not taking meaningful game actions, but like your opponent is taking meaningful game actions. It just takes forever. Like, you know. But thankfully, we're not in
I
that.
played around my game actions, dude. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, just
Run
kill.
anti-heal or something. Yeah.
Well, it's when I play Nico playing that deck, I just kill him from 2-4 like every defensive
Run
deck
the
he tries to play.
Haruhi Brainstorm, anti-brainstorm card.
He'll eat it. Doesn't matter how many climaxes in a deck. Nico will eat it.
No, you play the
I
Haruhi
do die from
anti-brainstorm card.
2-4 all the time to vanilla swings. It's not even.
Me
finishers.
too.
Die from 2-4 to vanilla swings.
Me too. I love dying to 3-4-3 while at 2-4, dude. That's my favorite skill. Eat 11. It's my Weiss Schwartz power, is I can die to 2-4 to any compression. Anybody got anything else? Spicy takes? I see
Yeah, we
Ken
still
here
play the
saying
game
that his guess is that it's just a Bang Dream restriction, so that they don't have to deal with possible things breaking with Anniversary coming out.
Bang Dream is such a good set.
Honestly,
Who's even buying that? I'm not buying that. I have like literally max rarity Hello Happy World.
Yeah,
and
there
I'm
are
not
people
buying
out
Bang
there
Dream.
that are.
I don't believe you. I don't believe you.
I think 90% of the Bang Dream fans that were in Weiss already jumped ship to D4DJ because they're people who just jump to the waifu of whatever new Bushiroad waifu like unit
Okay,
they send out.
But Kit, did you know that
What?
Bang Dream has Happy Material Go from Negama and the Zatch Bell opening?
Yeah, you're in that 10%, Dean. I get you.
Okay, well I'm not because I'm not buying it. So, but D4 DJ, from my understanding, doesn't have songs that good. So
The Steamboat Willie is 1 million yen.
Also,
That's
really
the only
quick,
other thing that I'm seeing.
I don't know if you guys talked about this either. So on the ban list, if they update it and there's actually no update to Quince, do you think just Quince with movie set becomes like the best deck period in the discussion? Because
thought
I
it was
played
with
against the what?
I thought the people said it's had a bad matchup in Dallas. Or is that because of the restriction?
I don't think it has a bad matchup with Dallas, but that might be because of the restriction.
I don't know. I don't actually play this game anymore.
I played against like the gimped version, and like that deck just high roll, like you force high rolls in that deck like crazy. Like my opponent turn 1 literally stood by out like an entire front row of things I cannot reverse for the rest of the game, and this has happened like multiple times where when I played against like 8 standby randomly at random locals here.
What deck is this? Kid? Sorry.
8 standby Quince.
8 Standby Quince. Oh, the new 8 Standby Quince.
Yeah, I'm talking with movie stuff. That's why I was saying like if for some horrible reason this new ban list update doesn't change for anything for Quince, Like, does that just become the best deck in the format? Period. Like, well, I guess outside of like probably Seven Deadly Sins. I think Seven Deadly Sins doesn't care about what's sitting across from it. So
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe. I mean, if it just goes untouched, I think it's possible.
yeah, I don't think it is just because of what they boiled basically, but
Damn, I cannot believe this card. This card is 1,000,000 yen. Steamboat Willie is 1,000,000 yen.
I'm waiting for that Pixar lamp to go up that high.
I mean, you have the black one, right?
The black lamp.
Hmm. I do gotta say, this is one handsome card. The Steamboat Willie.
I
Mm,
don't know
1
what the
million
demographic
yen.
is. If I'm a Disney fan, I will go buy a Lorcana card.
It doesn't matter. It's a super limited Disney collector's item. Doesn't matter what the. It's also weird. It's really weird. It's like a Japanese only like product for a game that's fairly popular, but it only exists outside of the language that it quote unquote should exist in. And it's hyper limited. I don't know. I think that season amount. I see other one of the Japanese locals we met at Tsutaya Kit saying that RR value is about to collapse. Don't know what that's in reference to.
There what?
oh,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, to be fair, like Dean and I kind of talked about it before too. Like the Weiss economy in Japan is basically slowly draining itself to death.
Yeah,
Essentially.
Yeah.
Stores can't handle it. And then there's another thing too, where when I talk to the Japanese people, they say we can't afford these cards. So that means that a lot of these really expensive cards aren't even being propped up by Japanese people. They're being propped up by the investors that we've already seen leave this market. So every time
Hmm.
Go ahead.
like some cards are, but like there's like cards like I mean I guess the biggest one would be that make a change card, right? Like that's like a very obvious
That
thing
that
where
was that was 100% propped up by foreigners. Like
but like it's like similar things happen with like Gurren Lagann SSPs. Yoko's like 800, 900, $1,200 in Japanese. Why? Well, it would used to be 400. It used to be able to find it for 400. What happened? It's similar things across the board, and and so like that's like a thing when you look at like these sets. What happens? But there's also Bushiroad's really scummy printing practices that keep happening, right? 1 in 40 cases hit one of these. 1 in 18 cases hits a specific color of Luxo. Like Saikano has 3 SSPs or SECs or whatever, and there's 1 in every 3 cases. So that means 9 cases to hit each
yeah.
one.
Okay, to be fair, I think yes, that entire practice is very scummy, but at the end of the day, Bushiroad is like a fucking living in a capital system. And if their player base or collectors are going to be stupid and buy 48 cases on release, and they're like every time they release a chase, like a new chase SSP Omega rare serial numbered
Yeah, yeah.
shit,
There's
yeah,
nothing
like
wrong,
that's like the collectors and community's fault at
but
that point.
I guess the thing is, it's not
Because
scummy.
Bushiroad's
It's
incentivized to keep doing it, right? Because like, oh look, every time we do this, our fucking pre-orders from stores like triple. Like, why would I not do this as a
right,
business?
right. I guess the thing is, I guess I misspoke. The thing is, like, if you look at like older sets, right, like with the like lower SP runs, your Chase SP might be $300, and it's like now we're seeing $1,500 cards on the regular, right? And
Yeah,
it's like, who are the buyers? So it's a very small amount of people, and the thing is, the case math is just so horrendous now to
yeah.
get these cards. Um, yeah, I mean, in general, it's not scummy. It's just like compared to what we had before, it's like the print runs of these cards is extremely low compared to like
One
like
of
what it used to
the
be.
one of the big things too is that I don't think this is sustainable long term,
No,
and like doing this so much and like so
I think
quickly
I
is
think
just
this.
I think it is destroying the market for the game. Period. Like,
Oh, well, what you said is the so quickly is like the thing. If like once a year or like once, I mean, like Magic has the ring, right? Um, I almost wonder if the Steamboat Willie's like the ring, right? I guess we'd have to see because they said 40 cases. Um, I do I do think it's just the amount of product they print more than anything. It's every set has something like this. It feels like Hololive has 51 SSPs. Is it 51? Is it 50? I don't know. It's a big number, right? Hololive 2 has a huge number of SSPs. We have this thing. We had the Luxo lamps. We just keep getting
Didn't
these like
someone say yesterday? I think I was in a chat. There's 60 Love Live SPs coming out for that new Love Live set or something.
Oh,
I
I
mean
don't know.
like Idolmaster has that. Bang Dream has that. Bang Dream has always had that. But like Bang Dream had 12 SPs in a case, right? It had 12 SPs in a case. So
Yeah.
you got like what is it, 25 SPs and 25 SSPs, but you got you got more than that, right? You had 50 SPs and you pulled 12. You pulled 11. So and then one SSP of your 25. And that
I
was like
do
kind of the start, right?
Yeah, I do gotta say though, which is really weird, is that the consistency of what a rarity means in Weiss when you start getting the high rarity stuff is never. It doesn't go across like every set. Like for a long time, SSPs were like one a case, and then sometimes it's like one every other master or like one every master case, and like weird stuff like that.
Yeah.
I wish there was more consistency as far as like the high rarity stuff goes, but I mean, I get that's
Oh,
nitpicking. I
and
think
hot
so.
take here, hot take. I think OFRs look better than SPs.
Yeah, I
A
agree.
lot of the time they do these days.
I think like yeah, OFRs are sick. But they're also like $20.
A lot of the like the SP and the SSP, it comes from how much you want that squiggle. Like, depending on the voice actor or voice actress.
Yeah, I mean, there's always that. There's always that player base too that doesn't give a shit about the voice actor or anything. They just like the.
It's a real pretty
high
card,
rarity.
yeah.
A
Yeah.
flex. It's look how expensive this is.
Yeah.
What was it? I think there used to be like an app on the Chinese App Store where it was like the only thing it was like I think I don't know if this is a real story, but I've been told this. There used to be an like app on the Chinese iOS where depending on how much money you put in, depended on like what the app looked like when you opened it, and that was the only thing the app was, and it was a way to just like flex like wealth. You're like, look, I spent $10,000, so I have the gold background, and that's kind of how SSPs are.
I think it's how
There,
many
there,
foils are
there
really.
was,
Right?
there is an. I think there's like a game or an app also. I remember reading this story that's like literally like it's advertised as the most expensive thing. It's not. It doesn't even do anything other than like, look, I own it. Like
Destroy
literally,
your
that's what it
bank.
does.
It
You can destroy
takes
your bank
dollars
account a
out.
little bit just to flex on other people that I have this app
Wait,
that's like
isn't
$10,000.
this exactly the same as owning cryptocurrency? Oh,
No, because
sorry.
the cryptocurrency,
Sorry.
sometimes the cryptocurrency, you're like, damn, I have
Shut up, Dean.
10 million Meowth coin.
Nope.
Listen, the memes coming out of the cryptocurrency though is way better than these random apps. So
Yeah.
That's true. The memes are good. All right, well, I think that's all we have, right? Got through the
Nothing
tournament
else.
report, got through the bitching, got through the meta talk, some speculation about tomorrow. If it's super spicy, maybe we'll do another one.
Also,
Talk about it.
for those still out there, shout out to Burn One SVE. You know, check out our Shadowverse Evolve channel. We definitely will be ramping up content on there soon. It's been a little, there's been was it a lull in our content, but that's intended.
yeah, seeing as there's no product out
There's no
in
product.
English.
Only Kid has product because they
Oh,
only did it in Cali. Because fuck Bushiroad.
What?
Oh
They
yeah,
didn't
by
do it
the way,
in they didn't do it in
yeah,
Georgia?
yeah. I go to Georgia and
Yeah,
I'm
they
like,
didn't have it in Georgia.
do you guys have the Shadowverse demo? And they said
They're like,
no.
no.
And I'm like, damn it.
They
Oh,
also
cars-
still didn't have the
I-
promos from Toronto that
I
they
was
said they
almost
would
gonna
have.
message you guys. I was almost gonna message you guys and being like, "Hey guys, if you do the Shadowverse promo more or the thing more than once or whatever, get me this card and I'll pay you for it or whatever."
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I was
I'm gonna
like,
face them.
I forgot about it, and then I was like, "Oh, I should have messaged them." I didn't know you. I just assumed you would have got it, Dean. Like at least you would have got it if it was there. Right?
Oh, he tried. He tried.
I was ready.
Yeah.
I was ready. Oh, but no. Hopefully Bushiro gets a little bit of their shit together and we see a demo at ASEN.
They're
I
not
don't
going
see them
to.
at Anime Midwest. What else?
They
I
went to
hope.
Anime Boston this weekend or something, right? They have it there. They said.
Okay, so
Oh,
like maybe
I-
it's like related to the Cali office. Like maybe it's just like because the regionals are ran by random judges, right?
It might be. It probably depends who flies out there and runs it. Really quick too, I want to drop this here because I didn't know this because they don't say this enough. if you have like promos to turn in or exchange from during the COVID time with like the
I
priestess
have a
PR and stuff like
priestess.
that, they will do the exchanges at every event, I was told. And I didn't bring it with me in California, and I didn't know until literally the end of the day when I was talking to who was I talking to? Oh, Richard. When I was talking to Richard, who was handing out the PR cards, I was like, "Wait, you guys have this, and you're still doing this return?" I was like, "I have like 2 or 3 of these in a binder back at home that I haven't exchanged yet." And he just told me to just bring it to Texas because he said he'll for sure be there at
Oh,
Texas.
All right.
So if you're going to
Yeah,
Texas,
I'll
and
dig
I
that
think
out.
Chicago, yeah, also Chicago, I think so. I can't guarantee Chicago, but I know for a fact he did say Texas 100%. And I think he said all events, but I wasn't really paying attention because I knew I was going to get a Texas after that.
yeah,
So
I'll
yeah.
bring mine then. That makes sense. Thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah, because
that's
they
good.
said
That's good. Yeah.
at the end of I think at the end of this year or at the end of this BSF, they're no longer doing it. So yeah, make sure to do that.
I'd love to
That's all I'm gonna
finally
say.
get my butt stamp.
Yeah, me
I've
too.
had that
Insane.
priestess card forever. The trading card.
I
It's
saw it on my table the other day, underneath some piles of other cards, and I said, "Oh, is that trash?"
I gotta remember
I
to
almost threw it
actually
away.
bring my trade binder to like one of these events. I always forget. All right. Well, I think that's all we got. See you guys in the next one.